This is a re-upload of a video I already made. I'm doing this because the audio in those first few videos wasn't very good. The first game out of the way, we're on to FNaF 2. Although adding a lot more depth to the lore, I feel with FNaF 2, I'm still in the safe zone when it comes to simplicity. Far away are the days of Remnant and all that it brings. For now, the series is still in its paranormal phase, right where I like it. FNaF 2's lore is delivered through the same sources as FNaF 1, being phone guy, Easter eggs, and environmental clues. However, this game adds one more substantial source to the lore, which sets a precedent for the rest of the series: Minigames. These arcade-style games, in FNaF 2, have a chance of playing after death, and contain scenes from key events in the timeline. There are 4 in this game, and we'll cover those last as they're the most substantial. Before going into any pieces of lore, for context, it's important to establish that the end-of-week paycheck for this game lists the date as 1987, meaning everything mentioned in this game must take place before FNaF 1. Starting with the phone guy in this game, he delivers a lot more lore than he did in the original. The important pieces of lore he mentions are as follows. The recordings are being left for an employee taking a summer job. Additionally, the phone calls differ from FNaF 1, as it doesn't sound as if they are pre-recorded messages. Instead, they are live calls to the employee working. There's another Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that existed before FNaF 2, which had negative connotations associated with it. The night guard may have had reason to have a negative impression of the company. New toy animatronics are equipped with advanced motion and facial recognition technology. The withered animatronics are from the aforementioned previous location and have a smell to them, while the Freddy head trick fixes the facial recognition glitch with the animatronics. Foxy and the puppet are not fooled, with Foxy being referred to as Twitchy. The puppet is always thinking and can go anywhere. The new Foxy has a completely different design and is torn apart by kids every day, being referred to as the Mangle. Previous night guard is moved to the day shift due to problems with conditions. Throughout the week, he reports no issues at the establishment. Curiously, at the end of the week, you're assigned the day shift. An incident happens which causes an investigation at the pizzeria. The night before, it seems phone guy knows very little and says that it's a precaution. He at first claimed someone may have tampered with the animatronic's facial recognition, and that looking them in the eye is a bad idea, being aggressive to staff. On night 5, he claims that no previous employee should be let into the building, as a day shift position just became available. This saga ends on night 6, when he announces that the location is being shut down for a while after someone used a yellow suit from the back room, likely causing the problems the animatronics have been causing for the last few days. The night guard we play as is being moved to the day shift to make sure the animatronics don't hurt anyone. Before Freddy's, there is an original restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner. He also mentions that for whatever reason, Freddy's is looking into contacting the owners of this restaurant. On night 7, we play as a person with a different name from the person on the preceding night, Britt Smith as opposed to Jeremy Fitzgerald. That was quite a bit more, but we're not done. Going into the Easter eggs, there are a lot more in this game. However, only some of them seem to be relevant to the game's lore. I'll mention those relevant ones now. Rare screens may play of Withered Freddy, Foxy, and Toy Bonnie, where they are missing their eyes. While Bonnie's likely connects to Scott's fear of Bonnie, I feel the other two are direct connections to some death minigames, which I'll touch on later. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, 2 ghastly shadow figures appear in this game, both of which will crash your game. Shadow Bonnie seems to resemble Toy Bonnie, while Shadow Freddy resembles Withered Golden Freddy. Sometimes when the puppet is let out of the box, a naked Endo-02 skeleton can be seen, roaming the pizzeria, starting at the puppet's box and going to the left front from there. Next are the environmental clues. Again, I'll only mention the ones I feel are relevant, as some have been mentioned already from other sources. Black splotches on the floors and walls and wires hanging from the ceiling imply this location isn't being kept in the best condition. A wet floor sign stays up all week. At the end of the week, a newspaper claims that the new Freddy's has been open only a few short weeks, and that the newer models will be scrapped due to malfunctions. Meanwhile, the older models are being kept for reuse in a new, lower budget location, as the CEO remarks. Despite Phone Guy claiming the night guard was working a summer job, the end-of-week paycheck is dated for November. Alright, with all that aside, we can dig into the meat of the bones here, the death minigames. The scenarios they reveal are as follows. As Freddy takes cake to children around the restaurant, a purple man in a purple car drives up outside and appears to kill a child who is out there. A voice spells out, "Save him," and the game concludes with a puppet jump scare. A red and brown colored Foxy, not white and pink, performs a show where he runs out to meet an audience of children. The third time he does so, a purple man waits outside of his curtain as Foxy happens upon the corpses of 5 children. The game concludes in a Foxy jump scare. Withered Freddy walks around in what is clearly the FNaF 2 pizzeria to find 5 dead bodies littered around the location as the puppet guides him. Golden Freddy appears to teleport around the location, and strangely, unlike the other animatronics, Mangle's wiggling around. This is the only minigame to not end in a jump scare. However, rarely the purple man can appear, this time wearing a yellow badge. While the minigame normally spells out "save them," being caught by the purple man causes the message "you can't" to be displayed. Finally, there's a minigame which spells out "help them," as the puppet is first seen giving gifts to 4 dead children before putting the animatronic masks onto them. Once all 4 masks are placed, a 5th uncostumed corpse spawns in the middle for an instant, before the game ends in a Golden Freddy jump scare. It may also be worth mentioning that between the nights there are short cutscenes where we take FNaF 1 Freddy's view, and we can see other characters like Bonnie, Chica, Golden Freddy, and the puppet visit us. Nothing too notable happens in these though. So with all of our new lore fuel compiled, let's try to sift it all through the timeline machine. I will be signifying all FNaF 2 events with light blue. Firstly, we can place 2 older locations. First, a Fredbear's Family Diner, followed by what can presumed to be the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. At one of these 2 locations, the child that possesses the puppet is murdered. For now, I'll choose Fredbear's as the original given the Save Him minigame seems to be a more simple building with only a bear animatronic being seen. This is of course followed by the MCI at the old Freddy's, the details of which have been updated in this game. Next we can amend some details on the timeline with some new information, namely, it's evident this must be pre-FNaF 2, as the Foxy minigame shows, as I mentioned, a red and brown Foxy witnessing the murder of the children. The withered animatronics are said to be used for parts only in the FNaF 2 building, so this has to be at a location that a red Foxy was active. While it's likely true that the bodies were hidden in the animatronics by the purple man, it was the puppet who bound the souls of the children to the robots. It's important to note that it's implied that the 5th child, represented as Golden Freddy, was never properly bound to any given suit. Sometime after this, a new location opens, that being the FNaF 2 building. It's shown that a separate incident of child murder happened at the FNaF 2 location. It's unknown what became of the victims. However, we know this took place from the Save Them minigame, but also through Phone Guy's calls, where he insinuates that the night shift to day shift terminated employee perpetuated whatever happened. Even still, it's never expressly said murder happened, just that the event caused the animatronics to become aggressive towards adults. Perhaps because the animatronics saw the crime, but not the disguised criminal. This also tells us that unlike the first time, this time the killer doesn't seem to have been caught, as nobody seems to report that murders even happened. Under the elusive bite of 87, we can't resolve who did it, though it is implied that it was caused by an animatronic on Haywire, which certainly didn't help the already closing Freddy's location. After these incidents, the location shuts down. It's likely that this is when the actual gameplay takes place. As mentioned, Phone Guy's recordings are for a summer job, yet our end-of-week paycheck is in November. After this, we connect back to FNaF 1 with the new location opening. To conclude this episode, I'd just like to mention how daunting this game really appeared to be at first. With everything I've laid out, it really doesn't add all too much. A huge portion of the lore is just additional details to the MCI laid out in the first game. I think as a whole, I see how important it could very well be to look at the story in this way. Rather than trying to look at all the details in the franchise at once, taking it one game at a time helps keep thoughts organized. I want to wrap up this video mentioning all loose ends that remain as of this game. You'll come to find that FNaF 2 is a unique game in the series, being the only one other than Sister Location, the only animatronic never intended to be a Freddy that move around in the Save Them minigame. It would make sense that there'd be some loose ends left behind. Those ends are as follows. Who did the bite of 87? Where are the shadows? Are they significant? And most significantly, what happened to the 5 new victims of the purple guy? Hopefully in the next episode we'll be able to wrap up all these loose ends after all. FNaF 3 was the first time a game was supposed to be the finale of the series. Certainly no stone will go unturned, right?